Imagine being a high school senior making six figures profit selling simple name brand products on Amazon in just a 30-day period. Meet Abe, the high school hustler, and that's exactly what he did. In this video, we're going to go through his entire story, secrets of success, and how he went 0 to 3 million on Amazon FBA between classes so you can grow your Amazon business the right way and make more profit faster. Let's get right into it. So we got Abe the legend here, one of the best students of all time, and actually one of the youngest students of all time, and just a great no excuses story with everything. So Abe, how much you sell on Amazon, like lifetime, and then what did you make in profit just for December?
So lifetime will just be under 3 million so far for lifetime. Last year I did just over 1.5 million, and my biggest month being December, which was over 500K.
So the profit on 500K would probably be close to over 100 or over 100, right?
Yeah, right. That's six
Yeah.
figures mark,
Yeah,
which
which
is
is insane
yeah.
because you're still in high school.
Yes.
Right? So you're either, soon to be 19 or already 19, right? But very, very, very young, right? Which is pretty cool stuff that you were able to, find success early with the stuff and everything too. And in a similar note, I got started reselling in high school as well, which was many, many years ago at this point, which makes me feel
Yeah.
old to say and everything. But yeah, pretty cool stuff and everything. So you just want to provide, my audience with like your backstory and why you got into this stuff and everything.
Yeah, so the backstory started when obviously I always wanted to have a business. I think a lot of people that watch these videos always want to do something on their own, whether it be a side hustle or anything. It started August 2022. Just a bunch of YouTube research, obviously the classic how to make money online, seeing TikToks, getting your feed culture to that, and just landed on Amazon FBA. I just had a couple $100 and started with RA. I was just doing it with my mom on the weekends, as I talked about before. I didn't even have my license at the point, so we were just going to stores on the weekends, Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, and doing that for about a year or 8 months, and then really trying to push myself into OA. Just because having sports in school, it made it hard to drive to stores when you have to go 30 minutes one way. It's not always guaranteed. So when I finally made that switch to OA, really pushing myself to meet other sellers. That was my biggest mistake in the beginning, was I didn't really know that there was a huge community out there, which definitely prevented a lot of my success early on. But initially making that switch to OA, I did join Miles' mentorship in the summer of 2023. That was like my full push to OA when I decided, I really need to make this long term. I don't want to be driving to stores. And so that summer was when I had like my first big month. I did 70,000 back to school. Remember in the FDM trenches with you, that was like the huge jump from 15K to 70 after getting a lot of work with you. And then that December, I did six figures revenue. So like 100K back to back November, December. And then last year was my big year.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's pretty cool because it shows that, you're pretty young, but you've like been doing this for a while at this point.
Mhm.
And I think that's the biggest thing to see is like it took me a while to, get really good at the stuff too. And
Oh
it
yeah.
takes time, right? Good things take time. And that's okay, right? Because when you're a beginner, you have to compete with the advanced people and all the beginners because you're typically finding relatively like obvious
Oh
opportunity. You're
yeah.
not finding a lot of hidden stuff yet. But over time, you find more and more hidden stuff. Like I just posted videos like 12 Amazon FBA hacks for like all the tips and tricks for product sourcing, right? And no one is born knowing about that. No one is a new Amazon seller knowing about that. It takes time, and that's okay,
Yeah,
right?
I told a ton of people that too. Like if it was this easy, it wouldn't be a thing. The first two stores I went to RA, like first Amazon thing, I found nothing, like absolutely nothing. And I got a lot of people probably should have quit there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I found absolutely nothing. And like my first probably 5 OA buys just absolutely tanked, lost money. But I think that was like one of the only, I know I didn't network as much as I should in the beginning, and I know a lot of people don't. But it's obviously more available now to tell you to network more. So I didn't do that right. But one thing I did really well, I kind of credit myself on, is I never really took the monetary side of it like too personal. If a product tanked, I would just sell it and move on. Or, if it wasn't selling fast, I'd price it down and move on. I never really looked at the profit like super hard in the beginning. More focused on learning and getting the skills.
Yeah, I think that comes from like being an athlete too, because I like heavily empathize with because like you have so many like the next play and everything. And I think so many athletes translate really well to the Amazon world, whether it's like former college and high school athletes or guys who are in your similar situation, college athletes and everything. And it just translates really nicely because it's like a competitive outlet. And in the real world, unfortunately, there aren't a ton of competitive outlets with like salary jobs and everything. And now, luckily, both of us kind of, were able to skirt and avoid that and everything you earlier than I.
and everything. But it's a, it's an excellent outlook for that too.
Quick interruption from the video, guys. If you're interested in personalized one-on-one help directly from me starting or growing your Amazon business in 2025, now's a great time to go down below to the link in the description and put in your information to apply for my coaching program if you're interested in one-on-one coaching directly from me to be around other Amazon sellers crushing the game, getting plugged in on all my favorite coupons, tips, tricks, and strategies, and so much more. I'm the only Amazon coach who actually does one-on-ones with every student. So make sure you take a look at the link in the description. Go ahead and apply. Back to the video.
So in terms of initially getting the ball rolling, right? You said you did retail arbitrage heavily and then switched over to OA. That was where massive success came in, right? Because retail arbitrage, you're not going to find a million pairs of glasses in one store, but from, wherever Kohl's.com or Sephora or Target, you can get significantly more inventory, right?
100%.
But retail arbitrage is a lot more simple and easy to understand. Now, beginners should do both, in my opinion, right? But retail arbitrage, it's just, will you go do it? Will you go scan those products? Sure, there's some fancy stuff like scanning with the Seller Amp app to see the bundles too, not just the barcodes and everything, right? But online arbitrage is a lot more technical in respect to the discounts. So can you break down some of the ways you've been able to create a lot more profitable products than you think like you as a newer seller, a lot of newer sellers would, like some of those different tips and tricks?
Yeah, I think that was a really big jump when I was really struggling with OA. Probably that 2023 was April, May. Just sourcing off price. When you really like learn to source off a discount, a coupon, a discounted gift card, a sale, an email sign up, like so many different layers. When you actually learn that skill, and also coming like you talk about this too, you have an eye for sourcing. A beginner Amazon seller can't go out and manually source a website. They just
And you shouldn't waste any time doing that. Yeah.
It's the same thing with retail arbitrage. You kind of need to scan the whole store before you'd be able to do that. So when you actually learn the skill set of sourcing, like there's different layers to it. So you have a $50 item, and then you have a 10% email sign up, and then you're getting tax exempt, and you're using a discounted gift card. That's like 3 layers that when I started, I didn't even know. So now when I looked at that when I started, I'd see $50 sale price, but now I'm seeing, $35.
Yeah. And literally, like, there's a bunch of different ways, right? Whether it's sales, like literally anyone watching this right now, it's a perfect time. Easter, Memorial Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, eventually 4th of July, July Prime Day, next like 3-4 months. Basically, right? Discounted gift cards from Car Bear, using tax exempt on websites that take it. Your reseller certificate's a great tip too, and everything. And it just creates more profit margin. You said that really well, sourcing off price, right? Almost nothing is going to be profitable off the price. Now, some stuff will, but if it is, it's going to be easier to find, right? And that's, not necessarily an issue and everything, but it is easier to find. So there would be more competition on that rather than stuff that's hidden behind certain discounts, right? So so you said back to school and Q4 were huge. For someone who might not be familiar with those times of year, can you break down why those tend to be a lot more profitable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there are 4 quarters in the year, which we know: Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Q4 obviously always being the best. Christmas, everyone gets their end of the year bonus checks. Everyone's spending Black Friday, Cyber Monday, just biggest sales of the year, 100%. There's even like a Prime Day mix in there, maybe in November. But then back to school is that month of August, maybe late July, when everyone's going back to school. They need new clothes, new backpacks, school supplies. So it's kind of a mini Q4 right there for a lot of arbitrage sellers when, they do more clothing, apparel, shoes. It's a huge time of the year for that kind of category. So it's a huge rush in that month. And that was when I initially, obviously I said I had that breakout month of 70,000 in 2023, just capitalizing on pretty much all those back to school products.
Yeah, and then same thing with Q4, a couple months later with the end of the year too, and
It was
everything.
the same exact thing though. It was just testing the products in July,
100%.
capitalizing on August, and then I took all that knowledge from all those products, and then you see them on sale, 2 months later. So it's just that much deeper, that much, that many more products, and that was why Q4 was what it was.
Yeah, and it's a major double whammy too, because like the volume picks up, like the demand increases, and then the buy costs decrease, and because the demand increase, the price goes up too, and everything. So it's just like it's tough. Someone gets started in February and March, some of the harder months of the year, right? They don't think, okay, this gets easier, and I'm going to get better, right? But we have that long-term mindset. It's very easy to see that play out and everything. And so you've mentioned like the networking side of things and working with other sellers. Like for anyone who's not familiar, that might feel a little bit lonely starting doing this stuff, which is completely normal and expected. What does that actually look like? And how do you actually find those people?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different paths for networking with Amazon, and obviously it'll carry over to any part of business or life that you do. Especially with Amazon, it's pretty easy. You could join like Miles and Warner's Launchpad, and there's 50,000 people in there, something crazy.
60,000. Yeah, it's free.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, I'll link it below. Yeah.
Make a Discord. You don't even have to put your face in there if you really don't want to. You can make an Instagram, Amazon account. That's exactly what I did. That was the first thing I did, just as the same one it is now, FBA.abe. And I was just posting pictures of my boxes and my orange bars, like so many people do. You don't have to post your face if you really, really, really don't want to. Like you can just start messaging a bunch of sellers. I just made my entire feed Amazon FBA content, start messaging people. And I always like to do stuff with friends or with people because, number one, accountability, and two, it's just more fun. So that's translated to all of my success. Probably 75% of it is just devoted straight to the fact that I networked like a ton. People that I met 2 years ago, I'm still talking to every single day and like doing a ton of work with. So just talking to other sellers, you're able to learn faster because you can learn from their mistakes. They can learn from your mistakes, and you just are able to, kind of take the business part of it and make it enjoyable.
Yeah, and people do what they like doing, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah, of course.
most things in life, the reason why you enjoy something is because you do it with people you like, right? So don't get into selling on Amazon and think that you're going to enjoy sitting on the computer by yourself, having to figure out all this stuff on your own, right? And everything too. So how do you manage time? Because I remember being like super busy in high school and college and
Oh
everything. I didn't even play sports in college, but I can imagine, people who do play at a high level in high school too. It's really super similar and everything. So break down like what time management actually looks like, because you've come a long way from biking to the different RA stores like I know you've done in the past.
So it is a lot. And the number one thing is just systems. Like again, when you start out selling on Amazon, just you can chase the numbers of the I want to do. You can chase the product sourcing. We really learn how to OA source, network with other sellers, get the orange bars up if that's what you want to do. But when it comes to time management and actually longevity and like a business, it's truly the systems that have gotten me to be able to do these numbers while still managing everything, going to school every day, sports, social life. It's just the systems. Like you take one thing with Amazon, you need to file for reimbursements, leakage from retailers to Amazon to customer returns. That can take up so much of your time. So really looking like at one part of the business at a time and delegating it. So that was the first one I did, to the admin VA. Then you take another step and you say, I don't want to be sourcing this much every week. So you delegate it to a sourcing VA where you can train them. Or maybe you want to source, but buying takes a ton of time checking out all at once. So you have a VA do your purchasing. So systems have been like the number one way that I've just been able to maintain everything. So really focusing on different parts of the business and stepping away from like the revenue every month.
Boom. As well as eventually you don't want to prep all your own products or some of them
Yeah,
or maybe all of them, right? Prep center too, right? And everything. And that's a, great way. And that you see when you're new, selling on Amazon might appear to just be going to stores and scanning stuff and labeling stuff and everything. But like, now you do none of that. Now I do none of that,
that's
right?
right.
Because you grow, you gain leverage, you gain more experience and
Yeah.
everything too. And it just makes it, significantly more, beneficial and everything. So on the side of OA, right, and that you have massively destroyed a lot of Amazon sellers' limiting beliefs around online arbitrage. I've done the same thing too. And everything. I know you're mixing in some wholesale too as well. So break down, how that's been and how the wholesale model differs from online arbitrage.
Yeah, so always been always great, and it will continue to stay in the loop for like forever. There's certain websites and certain loops that are just once you start selling on Amazon and you discover your own, it's so easy to just hop on and capitalize on. So I want to keep that in the business for as long as I can, a small portion of it. But everything is going to a prep center right now, then off to Amazon, so it doesn't have to come to my house. And definitely mixing in a bunch of wholesale. Just as my capital has grown over the years and I have more money to spend, it makes more sense to contact brands directly and work with distributors to place larger purchase orders. And then that way you're obviously getting a little more back end trust with the business. If you're getting LOAs, which are letter of authorization from the brand, you're also getting direct invoices from suppliers. So it kind of takes like the side hustle part of Amazon when you're going to stores and just flipping quick products to actually building like a true business in this world, which I think is really cool with wholesale.
Yeah, and I don't think many online business beginners should be cold calling brands to buy
No,
brand direct day one. I mean, I'm sure you'd agree, but once you get to the ball rolling and everything, it totally makes sense, man.
it's the
Too as
path.
well.
You talk about this a lot. You're not going to be going to Marshalls every single day for the rest of your life. You're going there to learn the proof of concept, to start flipping products, to start how to learn, seller amp and Keepa. You learn this base, you move on to OA, you start to learn OA, you get these good buys, you're networking. Then you move on to the prep center, the VA, and you're really starting to delegate it. Then you move on to wholesale. Like you can't do one thing at a time. It's not built in a day. So it's months of progression, and it's pretty laid out, honestly, because there's a lot of testimonials out there.
Yeah, and good examples. You can see your journey on IG. You can see my journey on IG back in the day too, as well. And in terms of like what you would tell yourself if you could go back a couple years ago to when you were getting started, what are you telling young Abe that would help him find success a lot quicker?
I would say what I just touched on a little bit ago is really focus on like the skill part of Amazon other than the revenue. It's so easy to just open the Amazon seller app and refresh the page and only focus on, your sales today, your sales for the last 30 days. And while that's cool, like the orange bars are really cool to have kind of that screenshot. When you actually focus on like really getting better at sourcing, or, for that month, maybe you're not sourcing as much and you're really building out like the admin part of your business. You're really focusing on hiring a good employee, or really focus on networking and, going to a couple events, maybe you go to ASD and you don't source that much that month. You're probably growing a lot more than you think you are, because the last month you might have done, way higher sales, but you're actually growing a lot more when you focus on certain skills. So that would have been the number one thing I did. I didn't probably meet another Amazon seller for the first like 5 months of me selling on Amazon, which, was a huge drawback. So if you're watching this and you're starting out, make it a goal every week to message a couple new sellers. Make it a goal for maybe this month that you focus more on the admin part of it, and just focus on the skill set of Amazon rather than the monetary growth.
Boom. And that's just ridiculously well said for someone so young and someone so new to business and everything. So very, very cool
Yeah.
stuff. And then, so people who want to see more of your journey, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah. So just FBA.abe for Instagram, YouTube. You got the YouTube going now. So
Oh,
check
cool. Okay, sweet.
that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna link all that in the description, y'all. So y'all check out that
And
guy
then
right there.
Twitter, I think Twitter's just FBA Abe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know if you have. I think it might even be an anonymous profile pic on Twitter too. Or
No,
was
no,
it?
no,
Oh,
no.
it's
You
not?
know,
Oh, I
I'm posting
swear it
videos.
was at one
I'm
point.
posting
Forgot. Okay, got you. Okay, cool, sweet. Well, yeah, thanks a lot for coming on, man. So proud of what you've been able to do, and excited to see future growth. And thanks you guys for watching. Y'all go check out Abe's page and everything. If you want formal help, links in the description for that too. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much.
Thank you.